where Mary Orao, the central protagonist in the short story The Hunt by Mahasweta Devi, has put a bait for the biggest animal in the Kuruda village. Metaphorically, we have to understand the significance of why Mary has agreed to come to the collector and surrender herself before the lustful collector. That was something unbelievable for us. And so foolish is the collector that he accepted the proposal and he allowed Mary to go out of his clutch. In fact, he believed that perhaps ultimately this poor tribal woman would realize that there is no point in just being faithful to some Muslim boy called Jalil. And perhaps because the collector might give Mary a lot of money, a lot of gifts, well, Mary had finally acquiesced. That could be the only possibility why the collector agreed to Mary's proposal of coming on that very eventful day of Jani Parab, where Mary asked the collector to come behind some rock and say this to nobody. Nobody should know that Mary and the collector would physically unite. So there exactly where we ended last time. And now I first would like to share with you some important aspects before I move to the text. So I'm sharing my screen with you. And are you able to see my screen? Yes? Could you see the screen? Yes or no? Please respond. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Now, Mark, it's a very interesting kind of a tribal culture where every 12 years, suddenly now this year is the turn of the women to go for hunting, and men would sit at home. So the role is reversed, right? Subversion of roles, you can say, in one sense. Now look at this. Traditionally, hunting has been an activity performed by men, and it also embodies a hierarchical relationship between the prey, that is the weak object as the award, and the predator or the hunter, obviously, who is stronger. And it is supposed that, and it is in fact a known fact, that the hunter, the predator, the stronger of the two, whose mental, physical, and cultural capacity gives the possibility to dominate others. So this is actually the normal kind of a system in which hunting goes on, with the hunter always hunting the weaker animals who become their prey, the hunter's prey. Therefore, hunting as a socio-cultural activity, this is something very important for all of you to note. As a socio-cultural activity, hunting has accrued men the chance to historicize their male identity in the premises of strength, power, and domination. So this has become virtually a kind of a token of male supremacy. In the hunt, it is revealed that the ritual of the hunt that the tribes celebrate at the spring festival is for the women. Mark that, not for men, but for the women to perform this year. So for 12 years, men run the hunt. Now comes the women's turn. And Mahasweta Devi is trying to tell us that this is something very important, that the tribal culture gives this scope of reversing the role of the gender, where now the women become the hunter and the men just remain passive. And it is called Jani Parab. Jani Parab. It's Jani Parab, right? Like men, they too go out with bow and arrow. And this is called Jani Parab. You have to understand this has something to do with that gender, the woman gender, right? Now they run in forest and hill. They kill hedgehogs, rabbits, birds, whatever they can get. Then they picnic together, drink liquor, sing and return home at evening. This is exactly what otherwise, normally, conventionally, the men used to do. So this is exactly why it is written here, Mark, they do exactly what men do. So this is that subversion of the role of the genders. And in fact, Mahasweta Devi is trying to show us how in the tribal culture, how in the Orang community, because of this, every 12 year, this kind of a turn of event, well, in their system, in their culture itself, is embedded a scope to settle scores. Once in 12 years, the switch over to traditional male roles by women demonstrates that the qualities related to hunting, like sagacity means wisdom, foresightedness, physical strength, and knowledge about the prey, are not exclusively masculine. This is something very, very important. Given an opportunity, even women can become wise, and they can also know what to pray, what to hunt, and establish that they are perhaps sometimes even better than their male counterparts. So these can be feminine qualities as well. So there is no reason to believe that, well, this is only the male who can do this and not the female. And Mary obviously becomes an agent of gender transgression. She is able to act like a man, that we have already discussed and seen in the first 3 parts of the story, where she looks after the bungalow of Prasadji. She collects vegetables, fruits, and many other things, takes them to the market, Tori market, and sells them at the best price, right? So she has a number of capabilities, number of capacities, qualities that normally you associate with a man. Now Mary is able to act like a man and offer resistance against exploitation, which I just was discussing with you. Here, differences between men and women are celebrated to showcase that aggressiveness, strength, passivity, weakness, courage, bravery are qualities and states of mind acquired through socio-cultural censorship rather than through sex-caused limitations. Mark that. So, though we say that the women are not capable of doing all these things, but if you can go into the depth of the issue, you understand that they are actually impositions by the male-dominated society on the females. So we don't give them that scope and opportunity. Otherwise, perhaps they are in no way inferior to male. Mary's temperamental behavior and psychological, physiological differences become irrelevant. Very, very important. Mark that. This becomes irrelevant whether she is physically weak, as she challenges power politics of male chauvinist society. Thus, the story embodies a space that is no doubt a site of exploitation by and domination of the society, but at the same time, it is well equipped with an equally strong subversive agency to topsy-turvy the whole game, right? So given an opportunity, well, there are some females who would take up the cudgels and settle scores of injustice, inequality, and suppression that has been practiced over the ages. The fellow tribals and non-tribals like Prasadji and others fear her, but at the same time look upon her with love and respect. She plays the role of a protector for the villagers and informs them about tremendous profit being pocketed by the forest guard, Tehsildar Singh, at the cost of their trees that we have already found. She informs Prasadji about the embezzlement by Tehsildar Singh and says firmly, the bastard tricked you. He took all the profit, and advises him to refuse prices for the trees. Yes, so Mahasweta Devi portrays the character of Mary Oraon in such a manner where it is not that just on one particular day, out of some kind of self-protection, that she is going to strike against the collector. In fact, in her we find somebody who is perhaps not just the protector of Prasadji's property. In fact, she can understand the dangers of the sal trees being uprooted and cut and taken away from that environment, their environment. She motivates fellow tribals to be active in bargaining for the rightful price for their trees. Thus, she becomes a protector, reversing the traditional role assigned to women in patriarchal society. So mark that. Interestingly, in the story, it is not any man who does it, rather it is a woman, and more significantly, just an 18-year-old woman who does it. Okay. Mary assumes the responsibility of a caretaker for Jalim also. We know that she knows it very well that Jalim has parents, brothers, sisters to take care of. And naturally, therefore, she has agreed to marrying Jalim on conditions that they will save some money. The society does not impose harsh injunctions on her because of her hybrid origin, right? We know that she has a tribal woman, Oraon woman, but an Australian father who in fact never has owned the responsibility. She suffers from a sense of alienation and yearning for moorings because there is always that sense of not properly belonging to the Oraon culture, right? She is a bastard. She is hardworking, smart, and deeply in love with Jalim. And she is committed to protect Jalim from the forest guard. That we also know. She wants no such situation in which Jalim could be put behind the bar. Thus, she can apprehend how law can be used for exploiting them and destroying the tribals. Her reaction to Tehsildar's sexual advances goes beyond her tolerance. Actually, we have noted in the first three parts of the story so far that Mary is a woman of exceptional self-dignity, and nobody really can take any kind of liberty with her. And she firmly believes that among the tribals, insulting or raping women is the greatest crime. Right? Rape is uncommon to them. Women have a place of honor in tribal society. That is what you find in the book Imaginary Maps, from where the story The Hunt has been taken, and it is written by, obviously you know, Mahasweta Devi. It is this fact which makes Mary catapult the sexual act and have consensual sex with Tehsildar. Try to understand now. We are gradually moving to that finale. So she is now preparing grounds in which perhaps she would go and consent to have physical relation or consensual sex with Tehsildar Singh, converting it, mark that now, into a victory, and thereby subverting the stereotype gender role proclaimed on women. Normally, we know that it is a woman who is on the receiving end. That role has been reversed. Mary is mature. You know very well that she carries a machete, and whoever tries to do any kind of injustice, or whoever tries to be rough with her, well, there comes out that machete, and everybody is scared that she might even attack them. Mary's machete is a symbol of her power to protect her and others. For instance, Mary maintains a right of picking the fruit of 4 mahua trees on Prasadji's property by using her machete. And we know that everybody knows what they can do and what they cannot do when it comes to Mary. And it is largely due to her economic independence that she asserts and protects herself from subordination and exploitation. Another very important aspect that sometimes we overlook. Mahasweta Devi is not just weaving a story about a tribal woman, searching her own identity, establishing it against all the overwhelming odds. At the same time, Mahasweta Devi is telling us, like any modern writer, that the real power comes from economic self-dependence. Till you achieve that independence, well, until unless you achieve that independence, it becomes very, very difficult to save yourself from exploitation. Mary transgresses from the traditional gender identity and involves herself in activities considered as demonstrations of masculinity, like pasturing and farming. I told you already that we find in the story it is Mary who looks after all the cattles of Prasadji, pasturing and farming. She pastures Prasadji's cattle and is the most promising cowherd. She sells custard, apple, guava for Prasadji's orchards and succeeds in getting hard bargains from the wholesale fruit buyers. Right? And even in her physical strength, she demonstrates a kind of a strength which is normally not really found in the female. The story is a powerful attempt to interrogate the subservient role of women in society by reversing the traditional victim position. Look at this. This is a very important point. So Mahasweta Devi is not just describing how the tribals become victims, how the women become exploited, how they are exploited, but at the same time, she reverses this traditional victim position for avenging injustice and oppression. So that is something very, very significant in Mahasweta Devi's stories. I mentioned to you another story, Draupadi. There also you find that resilience, that protest by a woman against all the oppression, injustices, and exploitation perpetrated by the male society, male-dominated society. Women are usually seen more as flesh and blood than hearts with independent minds. So we also sometimes, we refuse to accept that even women can have intelligent minds. Mary's beauty excites the lust of Tehsildar Singh, who visits her village to buy logging rights. He pursues her relentlessly with his tireless, single-minded pursuit, because to Tehsildar Singh, Mary is just a young, beautiful body which can be enjoyed for sexual gratification. She is steadfast in her attempts to stop him and does not give up, and retorts emphatically. This part we all have found in the story. He is further infuriated by the fact that an ordinary girl can reject him for an inconsequential Muslim boy. Why inconsequential? Because not so rich. I told you earlier that money has power. And because the Muslim, after all, this Muslim boy, Jalil, is just another vegetable seller. And as compared to and contrasted with the Tehsildar Singh, well, he is virtually a non-entity. That is what, well, has made the Tehsildar get absolutely astonished. Why? Why, after all, should Mary reject and refuse him? Mary finally invites him on a rendezvous. Rendezvous, you know, is a French word which means a place of reunion during annual spring festival, Jani Parab. And very significantly, the Parab festival is called Jani Parab. Jani is woman and Parab is festival, or the festival of justice, another name, to a secluded place deep in the forest, and thus thwarts the attempts of Tehsildar Singh by hunting him on the day of the great hunt. So there, I stop this and go back to the story to show you now how in the text beautifully Mahasweta Devi has now, mark now. This is the last part of the story, or rather the third part of the story. Mark that now. The fire burned last night and tonight as well. Last night, the spring festival fire burned very high and reddened the sky for quite some time. The fire is a kind of a symbol. You have to understand that Mahasweta Devi is using this as a symbol, and symbol, you know, has more than one connotations. So the fire is not simply the fire of the wood, the fire that they lit. The fire is obviously inclusive of the fire that is burning inside, on one hand, Tehsildar Singh, right, the fire of lust, and on the other, perhaps, it also, and I think more appropriately, the fire that, you know, the spirit that I have to take revenge, I have to settle the score, right, and I have to protect not just myself, but perhaps this village, Kuruda. So this is Mary's fire. Last night, the spring festival fire burned very high and reddened the sky for quite some time. Today, from the first light, the men are wild with drink and songs and color. The very old women are looking after the children. So they are getting ready for the spring festival, Jani Parab. The women are all in the forest. Each woman had stood excited in front of her own door, armed with spears and the men's bows and arrows. So now they are in the role of the hunter. So they have taken bows and arrows in their hands, and the men are all remaining at home. Only the old women did not join in the hunting. As soon as the priest struck the gong, they burst the sky with sharp halloos. Halloos is a sound, you know, that normally the hunters do to announce and to scare the animals, and ran forward. Bhikni is running in Prasad's shirt and Mrs. Prasad's petticoat. So that's a moment of, you know, wild excitement and joy and fun. Budni, Mungri, Somari, Sanichari. Take note, these are the typical names that you find in the tribal community, and Mahasweta Devi is using such names. Their running days are over. They are old now, so they can't join in the hunting. They have gone to the abandoned bomb-filled bungalow with bottles of liquor, food for cooking, pots, snacks, fried corn, onion chili. Now this is a kind of a festival, kind of a picnic. So they are now ready, and they will all enjoy together. There is water in the well there. The men too cook and eat there after the hunt. Budni had said to the women, in our time, We never return without something, a hedgehog, a hare, a partridge. Let's see what you do, how you hunt. So they were talking about their own past, and now it's a challenge for this young generation, what they can do and what they can bring. Mary is wearing a new sari today. Interesting, very interesting that we have so far learned that though Jalim has gifted Mary a number of things, Mary has not started using them. But today is different. Today, Mary is on a special kind of a venture. She has a special mission. And in this mission, mark that, can anyone tell me what can be the significance of Mary wearing uh, a sari gifted by Jali? What can be the significance? I would be happy if one of you can tell me the reason. What might be the reason that Mary today is wearing Jalim's gift? Anybody? Shagota, Anunna, Antora, anybody? What might be the reason that she is wearing a sari now, today, as an exception? No? You can't, you don't understand why? What can it be, the reason? Uttam, Shomnath, anybody? Shonali? Can anyone guess what might be the reason? Farjana? No?
Maybe she is এমনি হতে পারে যে জালিমের ভালোবাসাটা তার সাথে রইবে, সে কিছু নতুন কিছু করতে চলেছে।
No, not exactly. No, not exactly Jalim's love. Jalim's love is always there. But why suddenly today she has put on the sari given to her by Jalim? The main reason that, as I feel, is that today she is on a mission as a betrothed of Jalim. She is going to marry Jalim. And for her, before she married Jalim, it is imperative that she destroys anybody who has a lustful eye towards her. So by putting on the sari gifted to her by Jalim, in fact, she is declaring as if, see, I am somebody else's, and how dare you look at me. So she tries to be doubly strong, you can say, strengthened by the love that she has for Jalim, might be. There are beads around her neck, somewhat like the goddess Kali, right? The Kali has some skulls in her neck. Here she has some beads. Dancing, she clasps Budni. Mark the composer and mark the confidence of Mary. And she says, I'll marry you after I play the hunt. Look at this joyful mood in which she is. Then I'm the husband, you the wife. Good, I'll make you dance, I'll dance. Mary is running over with joy today. She has put 10 rupees into her mother's hands and bought 4 of her mother's chickens. The chickens are now in Sanichari's hands. She has actually contributed to the women those 4 chickens, which all of them would now share and eat after the hunt will be over. Mary has also contributed 2 bottles of liquor. This is over and above. The women have already asked and received liquor from collector. Mark that. So it is very normal, routine kind of a thing going on. Even the collector has contributed to the fun and joy that they would be enjoying, they would be having on this day of festival, spring festival. Collector has given the men a goat plus the liquor. He has promised to demonstrate the twist dance of the city in the evening. So Mark actually, Tahsildar Singh also is very, very excited that finally he would get Mary. He will drink bottle after bottle. His tree felling is done. Just small pieces are left, many bits. With great generosity, he has given them to the people of Kuruda as firewood. He has said, I'll come again. I'll hire only you to fell trees. I'll keep you picked in or liquid then, in liquor then. Mark that. So this is again a kind of a expression of excitement. I will just make you all happy. You just make me happy and I'll make you all happy. And he is just imagining what might be his level of satisfaction once he gets Mary. Joking with Budni's group, Mary also ran along. Sanitary said, look how Mary is looking today, as if she is Mulliji's daughter-in-law. So she's all decked up. Mark that this particular, again, expression is important. Daughter-in-law. Daughter-in-law. You become daughter-in-law only after marriage. So something very serious is going on in the mind of Mary Orao. She is decked up, she is excited, she is full of composure, and definitely she has some plan in her mind. Budni said, when she leaves after marriage, Kuruda will lose an eye. Very true. She is an apple of the eye. And Mungri said, she has never come to the village empty-handed. You see her now. You have forgotten how pretty Bhikni was as a young woman. Now, that is Mary's mother. She was also very pretty when she was young. Somri was half asleep as she walked. Suddenly she sang out with eyes almost closed. Fire in the spring, fire at the feast. Look and come home, please don't forget. And they start singing and dancing, and they are all in a frolicking mood. The others took up the refrain. Four elderly, decrepit means very, very old, women long past their youth, singing songs of love, the sun warming, the mood thickening. Mark that, mood thickening is obviously because of the influence of the liquor, and the sound of gong and horn in the distance. The sound of gong and horn actually are coming from the jungle, and obviously because of the hunting that's going on there. Mary ran on. The women are all going up Kuruda hill, entering the forest, going to the side of the cut. Mary is laughing. This laughter is again very, very significant. This laughter is the laughter of what is going to happen very soon, right? They won't find a kill. A kill is a prey. Like all games, the hunt game has its rules. Why kill hedgehogs or hares or partridges? They are very small animals, and it's not really very, very challenging to kill these kind of animals. You get the big beast with bait. Mark that. This is a very important line. Why unnecessarily kill the small animals, innocent kind of animals? It's better that set some bait and trap a big beast. You understand? So obviously the metaphorical significance is that the beast, big beast, cannot be anybody but Tahsildar. In her colored sari and red blouse, Mary is now like the flamboyant flower in motion. Flamboyant flower, almost like a moving fire. She is full of gusto, full of determination, full of mission, right? As if a bunch of flowers from the flamboyant tree is running in the wind. Red flowers on all sides. Red becomes a symbol of violence, symbol of justice, symbol of revenge, symbol of settling things, settling the score. Everything is red. A hare ran past. Mary laughed. She knows where the hare lives. Go back, no fear, Mary said, laughing. Today, I'm not really interested in killing a hare. In a drunken abandon, a great thirst dances in her blood. A great thirst dances in her blood. Collector, collector, I'm always there. Collector wants her a lot. Now Jalim is nothing to her. With how much violence can collector want her? How many degrees Fahrenheit? Is his blood as wild as Mary's? As much daring? Perhaps not. Because there, the collector is only lustful and absolutely unaware of what might happen. He has misjudged a tribal woman's sense of self-respect and dignity, and has taken it for granted that, well, by money and material things, he can really attract and win a woman of Mary Orau's type. A hedgehog. Go away. If it hadn't been today, Mary would have killed it, eaten the flesh. Today, a small thing cannot please her. Mark that, how Mahasweta Devi beautifully is building the climax. First the hare, then a hedgehog, but no, today they are not the prey of Mary. Mary has some big beast in mind. She will not be satisfied until unless she can kill that big beast. She wants to hunt the big beast. A man, collector. So who is a big beast? Not really any animal, but collector himself. And you remember in the previous section, well, the collector really resembled like a big animal. Any question before I proceed? Anything that you feel that, well, you could not understand? Am I too quick? আমি কি খুব তাড়াতাড়ি এগিয়ে যাচ্ছি, বোঝাচ্ছি না, বোঝাতে পারছি না, বা তোমরা বুঝতে পারছো না, এরকম কোনো কিছু?
নো স্যার। যদি স্যার সিগনিফিকেন্স অফ, মানে আপনি যদি ওই জায়গাটা আরেকবার বলে দেন যে ওই শাড়ির ব্যাপারটা, জালিম যে গিফট,
শাড়ির ব্যাপারটা হ্যাঁ, শাড়ির ব্যাপারটা বলি, বোঝার চেষ্টা করো। যে মেয়েটা একটা গিফটও ব্যবহার করেনি এতদিন জালিমের, কারণ ওর মনে হয়েছিল যে কোনো ঠিক নেই, যদি কোনো কারণে বিয়ে না হয়, কেন আমি এমন একটা লোকের কোনো গিফট ব্যবহার করব যার সঙ্গে শেষমেশ আমার বিয়ে যদি না হয়। So that would be a kind of a burden on me, on my soul, on my conscience. সুতরাং আমি সেরকম কোনো সুযোগই নেব না, ঠিক আছে? সেই মেয়েটা হঠাৎ আজকে জানি পরবের দিনে জালিমের দেওয়া একটা লাল শাড়ি কেন পরবে? তার নিশ্চয়ই তার পিছনে কোনো কারণ আছে। আমি তোমাদের কাছে জানতে চেয়েছিলাম যে কি হতে পারে সেই কারণ। আমার যেটা মনে হচ্ছে যে আজকে যেন ও জালিমের বাগদত্তা হিসেবে প্রতিশোধ নিতে বেরিয়েছে সেই লোকটার বিরুদ্ধে, যে লোক তাকে কুনজরে দেখে। So this is the day when she is on a mission. She will settle score. She will ensure that there will be no such evil element left. এবং জালিমের দেওয়া শাড়ি পরার তাৎপর্য এটাই যে সে জালিমের বাগদত্তা, সে মনে মনে সমর্পিতা, এবং জালিমের দেওয়া শাড়ি যেন তাকে একটা নতুন শক্তি যোগাচ্ছে। যেমন সেই সতী সাবিত্রীর কথা আমরা জানি, ঠিক সেরকম অন্য একটা পুরুষের কুনজর, এই কুনজরের বদলা আমি নেব, তাকে আমি শিক্ষা দেব কি হয় যখন তুমি অন্য কোনো স্ত্রীর সতীত্বে হাত দিতে চাও, তোমার লাম্পট্যপূর্ণ লালসাপূর্ণ দৃষ্টিতে তাকে তুমি ধাওয়া করো, what might happen. So that is what I feel is the significance of why Mary should put on the sari gifted to him by Jalim. And the color red becomes doubly important because red is the color of blood, red is the color of violence, red is the color of symbol, the danger, and red is also the color of a kind of rebellion, right? এবং লালের মধ্যে আরেকটা ব্যাপার আছে, লালের মধ্যে আছে একটা শক্তি, একটা প্রচন্ডতা, right? So that might be the symbol, how symbolically the color red is being used here. Okay, any other question before I proceed?
Thank you, sir.
Okay, is it clear now? Can I move forward? Yeah, so I'm then again sharing the screen with you and going back to the text. So we continue, and I told you that Mary is not going to be satisfied today by killing a hare or killing a hedgehog, right? She will not be satisfied until and unless the real target is achieved, until unless she can hunt the big beast. A hedgehog? Go away. If it hadn't been today, Mary would have killed it, eaten the flesh. Today, a small thing cannot please her. She wants to hunt the big beast. And immediately after that, without keeping any suspense, Mahasweta Devi tells, who is the big beast? A man. And we know, and perhaps Mahasweta Devi wants us to understand that actually the lion is not a beast. The lion is an animal. And if the lion kills a man, it is because of the necessity. Beast is what a man becomes. In fact, a man can be more dangerous, more bestial, more evil. In fact, an animal is not evil. It's very natural for an animal, to hunt another animal or man because they have to eat. But we human beings, without any need, just for our greed and lust, we behave like beasts. And therefore, well, today Mary wants to hunt the big beast. And this big beast cannot be anybody, not a lion, not a tiger, but a man. That is the irony. And who this man is? Obviously, collector, Tehsildar Singh. She sees the rock from the distance, straight, steep stone. She is just planning in her mind what to do, how to achieve her goal. Stone jutting out from the top like a ledge. You just visualize in your mind and you can see, right? Geet Ginda is a type of a vine, and it has lovely yellow flowers. They are all in full bloom. And like, any common flower that you must have seen in your locality, here, Geet Ginda, because of the plenty of blossoms, you see, many of the flowers have fallen down and it has made a kind of a mat under it. Geet Ginda vines have come down in a dense mat. It's a kind of a cover. On the soil, so many flowers have fallen that it has made a kind of a mat. On it, the yellow flower of the Geet Ginda. Behind the creeper is concealment, is that place where you cannot see anything from a distance. Mary's blood burst up at the thought. Now she is wild. Mary is wild, wild with a desire, right? To get justice, to settle score. Forward behind the creeper is the ravine. Ravine, you know, is a deep down slope, loose stones on its sides, and very dangerous place. If you overstep or put a wrong step, any moment you can slip and go down and perhaps get lost in the low ravine. If one could go down into that bottomless cold darkness, bottomless, you can't even see the bottom, the end. And obviously, it's so deep that you cannot see its end, and it's all dark. She and collector, she starts imagining what happens. Suppose there is a wrestling. Suppose the collector and Mary wrestle, and in the wrestling, both of them slip down. She says, she and collector. Well, it is one of the possibilities. She noticed collector's red shirt, and from the distance she could see that the big beast has already taken the bait. She has put a bait there to catch the beast, and the beast has taken the bait and is waiting there. Imported liquor, cigarettes, collector. And mark interestingly how Mahasweta Devi significantly put the three things together. Imported liquor, cigarettes, collector. As if these are three things that belong to the same category. Liquor, cigarettes, collector. You understand? So collector is actually totally devoid of any conscience, any spirituality. He is just mere a consumerist, somebody who thinks that life can only be lived by gratifying senses. Come inside, dear. Where is inside? Inside you, and you have some significant conversation. Yes, dear, yes. Mark that. Mark the wild passion of Tehsildar, who is not able to wait any further. By the ravine, behind the creeper. First, have a drink. Why just a drink? Give me a cigarette. See, this is Mary. Mary is now, today, ready to marry. Mary is ready to marry the risk. She will marry the risk. She will go to any extent. And why is she asking for a drink as well as a cigarette? Because she is not just trying to befool the Tehsildar, she is also trying to properly excite herself. So she also wants this artificial kind of addiction. How does it taste? Great. Not so fast. I want to get drunk. How drunk? I want to get very, very drunk. More booze. Booze means drink. She's getting drunk. Stars are strobing in her head. So stars are strobing in her head means she can speak, she can see, as if she can feel some stars, you see. Ah, the stuff is putting spangles in front of her eyes, right? Like stars, see, as if something is twinkling before her eyes, shining spangles. Behind them is collector's face. More liquor. The bottle rolls off into the depths of the ravine, as if this is a kind of a rehearsal. The bottle is empty, and the wine bottle drops down the ravine and is lost. Not even a sound. It's so deep that when the bottle falls down, no sound could be heard. How deep is the ravine? Yes, the face is beginning to look like the hunted animals. Mark now, just imagine Just try to visualize in your mental eye the scene. Tehsildar is absolutely drunk, is wild with with his sexual lust. He is getting restless, and Mary is driving him to a state of total unconsciousness when, because of the extreme influence of addiction, wine, what will happen? Tehsildar will become incapacitated. He will become weak. He will lose his control. Right. Mary caresses collector's face. Mark that. She is building up the climax beautifully. She's giving the collector all his, see, she's moving in all as per expectation of the collector. She caresses collector's face, gives him love bites on the lips. Mark that. How mischievously she is going forward. She is kissing collector on his lips. There's fire in collector's eyes. His mouth is open. His lips wet with spittle. Spittle is saliva. He is just like an animal, like a beast, who doesn't have anything else but only body, only lust. His teeth glistening. Just imagine, this is that moment, the complete incarnation of a beast. Mary has not lost her wits. She is very alert. Mary is watching. The face changes and changes into now. Now, yes, becomes an animal. And suddenly, the face of the collector just is completely transformed into the face of an animal. Yes, this is the big beast. This is the animal that she wants to hunt. Tehsildar says, now take me. No, this is Mary. Now take me. Mary laughed and held him, laid him on the ground. Collector is laughing. Mary lifts the machete, lowers it, lifts, lowers. So it's a repeated kind of striking. Don't you see the image of goddess Kali or goddess Durga? And you can understand, just as goddess Durga kills Mahishasur, here this is Mary Orao with her machete, striking again and again on the completely drunk Tehsildar and killing him. A few million moons pass. This is all, as if she is lost in a haze. Mary stands up. Blood on her clothes. She will wash in the cut with great deftness, skill. She takes the wallet from collector's pocket. Mark that. So she is so smart. She is not going to leave collector like that. She has looted the money of collector, which actually has been earned by looting these poor people. So if you loot the money which has been pocketed by looting some other poor people, what's wrong in it? A lot of money. A lot of money. She undoes the fold in the cloth at her waist, puts the money with her own savings. Then first she throws collector in the webbing. Along with that, his wallet, cigarettes, his handkerchief, stone after stone. Hyenas and leopards will come at night, smelling blood, or they won't. Might be. So what has she done? She has killed Tehsildar, and then she has thrown the dead body of Tehsildar deep into the ravine. And along with that, all other things of Tehsildar, the wallet, the cigarettes, handkerchief, and before that already the wine bottle. So everything has been dumped. All the evil signs, all these signs of evil are dumped together, thrown out from Kuruda village. It is a cleansing of Kuruda by, like today we are going through, we have been passing through a pandemic and we keep on sanitizing. Here Mary Orao has sanitized, in a way, Kuruda village. Stone after stone. She is also throwing stones after stone, might be, in a continuation of that excitement. And then she thinks, what will happen to this body? Well, perhaps some wild animals will come and eat. Hyenas, leopards, by smelling blood, human blood, or they won't even eat. So evil is this man that, I don't know, that the body might even rot only. Mary comes out, walks naked to the cut. This is again another important point for you to understand. Why has Mahasweta Devi told us that Mary is naked? Mark that. You have heard that famous story of a scientist when he could finally succeed in discovery. What he did? He was totally oblivious that he was in his bathroom, absolutely bare body. Eureka, Eureka, the scientist shouted and came out without clothes in the public. Here, Mary has achieved her goal, and she is not really completely in her senses, in one sense. In one meaning, yes, she is absolutely the master of her senses. And yet, it doesn't really matter whether she has clothes on her body or not. She walks naked to the cut, bathing naked in the cut, her face fills with deep satisfaction. She is cleansing herself because she has embraced Tehsildar. She has kissed him. She is now cleansing herself. She's having a very satisfying natural bath. After completion of the big mission, now she is just trying to, trying to come into the complete sense of what has been done, as if she has been infinitely satisfied in a sexual embrace. This is Mahasweta Devi telling us what exactly is meant by that infinite satisfaction. This is the true satisfaction for a woman of self-dignity. This man has made life for Mary a hell. Now comes the desired end. And it is so satisfying that she just can't let it go. She is just carrying on. She is prolonging that feeling. In the women's gathering, Mary drank the most wine, sang, danced, ate the meat and rice with the greatest relish. Look at the superlative degree. Greatest relish. She is so happy. So happy. She is dancing, she's eating, and she's eating a lot, she's drinking. She is celebrating freedom. celebrating the subversion, right? And not just she, Mahasweta Devi, in a way, by letting this happen, is celebrating. Well, you can say it might be a kind of wish fulfillment. Yes, it may be. Who knows? But it's also true that sometimes we do meet women like Mary Orao. And perhaps Mahasweta Devi is telling us that yes, in the tribal culture, there is something that might seem to be a myth, that might seem to be out of place, but then perhaps this is something intrinsic in the culture that allows a woman to settle score. At first, everyone mocked her for not having made a kill, because she has not brought any animal, any prey that she has hunted. Then Budni said, look how she is eating, as if she has done something great, the kind of satisfaction, the kind of happiness that she is having, as if she has made the biggest kill. Look at that. This is what Budni said, because this kind of a feeling is expressed only when you have a sense of great satisfaction. Mary kissed Budni with her unwashed mouth. Then she started dancing, beating two empty bottles together. And could you understand why has Mary kissed Budni? With her unwashed mouth, try to understand there is another significance in the statement. Earlier, that Australian, he has exploited Budni. Right? Is Mary's mother Budni or Bikini? Who is the
bikini?
Bikini. Anyway.
Bikini.
Okay, fine. So mark that. Mary kissed Budni with an unwashed mouth. Actually, this is a kind of a gesture by which perhaps Mahasweta Devi as well as Mary is indicating that by her hunt, by killing Tehsildar, she has not just settled score against Tehsildar, but she has settled score against that Australian exploiter, against all that male mindset which tries to exploit and take advantage of a weaker woman. Then she started dancing, beating two empty bottles together. The night air is cool. Sanichari lights the fire. Drink and song, drink and dance, when everyone is dancing around the fire and singing. Oh, Hanmedeo, our God, let there be a spring feast like this every year. Very significant. Why every 12 year? Why not every year, at least for a day? There should be a subversion. There should be an opportunity for the women to lead. Let us hunt this way every year. We will give you wine. We will give you wine. Then Mary moves back as she dances. Backing in the dark, they are dancing, dancing hard. This is the dance of fulfillment. Mary runs fast in the dark. She knows the way by heart. She will walk 7 miles tonight by way of Kuruda Hill and reach Tori. Why? She will awaken Chalim. From Tori, there are buses, trucks. They will go away somewhere. Ranchi, Hajaribagh, Gomo, Patna. Now, after the big kill, she wants Jalim. Mark that. Now she is also eager to be united with Jalim. And she wants to go away from Kuruda, from Tori, to some place remote from Kuruda and live her life with the person who respected her. The spring festival fires are scattered in the distance. Mary is not afraid. Even during night, in the darkness, she is going to walk 7 miles, and she's not afraid. She fears no animal as she walks, watching the railway line in the dark by starlight. Today, all the mundane, blood-conditioned fears of the wild quadruped. Quadruped means 4 feet animals, like tigers, leopards, lions. No one can really dampen the spirit of Mary. She is not scared of any animal. She has vanquished the biggest beast. What can a leopard or animal like tiger or any of these so-called beasts, animals of the forest can do? She is not afraid, right? And she is now is on her second mission to get united to that boy who really loves her. And now she will be his wife and perhaps enjoy the true happiness of being together. So Mary Rao goes out, and might be she is leaving today Kuruda because she does not want the police or anybody else to investigate and arrest her. Today, all the mundane blood conditioned fears of the wild quadruped are gone because she has killed the biggest beast. So the biggest beast, again, she has killed the biggest beast, and therefore she is not afraid, means actually fear is a matter of mind. So with the killing of the Tehsildar, she has now become completely liberated. Her mind is liberated. Her mind is without fear. She can face the entire world. She is not afraid now. Yes. So the true liberation has come after she has successfully killed this lustful man, Tehsildar. So the story comes to an end here, and we understand that it's a kind of a cycle, right? Right at the beginning, we were discussing about how that Australian also hunted bikini. And now we find in the middle of the story, well, a number of different interpretations could be given to the word hunt, right? It's a financial hunt, it's a gender-based hunt, it's a sexual hunt, right? And now finally, it is the subversion of the role where the hunted becomes the hunter. And the true hunt is achieved by this reversal of the role where Mary Rao settles the score and establishes herself as a truly liberated woman of the modern day world. So we have completed the story here, and now if you have any question to ask. I would take one more class with you in which I will round up. I will just touch upon all the salient important points in the story. But today, if you have any question, anything where you feel that, well, it is not yet clear to you, you can ask the questions. Is there anything that you could not understand?
Sir, Mary kissed Budni with her unwashed mount. It interpretation.
Which one? Can you repeat that?
Mary kissed Budni with her unwashed mount.
Yeah. I said actually, this is unwashed mount is what? Unwashed. See, this is all our when you become cultured, when you say you are civilized, you are cultivated, then what you do? sophisticated. Then you wash your hands, wash your mouth and all. Here it is raw primitivity. Raw primitivity, like, you know, when if you have seen any film on wildlife, where a tiger preys, right, hunts an animal, and then with a rare kind of a satisfaction, the tiger kills and tears the animal and eats its flesh. That is that image. Mary is very, very happy by being able to kill the big beast. And that unwashed mouth is nothing but actually an expression of that primitive joy and excitement, which she still continue to enjoy. And that is the reason she kisses Budni with unwashed mouth. This is absolute primitivity, and it has its own raw joy, raw joy that cannot be achieved by our so-called sophistication. That is the victory of a tribal woman over a corrupt Tahsildar, representative of the so-called civilized world. So this is the tortured, the exploited, settling score against the torturer, against the oppressor, and a woman settling score against a male, especially the lustful male. Any other question? Have anyone of you tried to find out the story Draupadi? I told you earlier that you should try and read at least one story by Mahasweta Devi. It's there also in imaginary maps. You must read Draupadi also. Brilliant short story. And actually, if you read one more story, that will help you to understand the style of Mahasweta Devi better. And always remember that the more you read, the more you know how to present your answers with more incisiveness, more depth, more profundity. So you must read at least one story, Draupadi. Brilliant story.